Thank you for coming to talk about one of the great comeback stories here in Los Angeles. Los Angeles is a story of comebacks throughout our history, whether it's earthquakes, civil unrest, whether it's economic downturn or pandemic. Never bet against LA because we will always come back and come back stronger than ever before. Just before the pandemic, we set a record 2 years early when we set ourselves a North Star to bring more visitors and to boost our visitor economy here in Los Angeles. We did that very consciously. We invested in a better airport. We invested in more hotel rooms. We invested in great campaigns in tough times that told people that everybody was welcome here in Los Angeles. But we know that our tourism and hospitality industry defines Los Angeles. The whole world knows LA whether they've been here or not. Maybe it's seeing La La Land and watching two people fall in love just down the street from here. Maybe it's Terminator 2 and racing on the Los Angeles River. Maybe it's something from the San Fernando Valley or down in our port. People know Los Angeles, and they hunger to come here to connect with the culture and the creativity and all of the people that are here in this great city. But we know that the last 2 years gave us one of the toughest hits that we have ever been dealt, maybe the toughest 2 years of our life or of our city's history. But we were determined not just to survive that moment, but to thrive afterwards, to build to greater heights what we could with our tourism industry, the jobs that surround it, the families that depend on it, and the great opportunities for people to visit throughout the United States and from around the world. And I can't think of a better place than here at Griffith Observatory to tell that story. A treasure that is as popular with Angelenos and visitors alike, the most visited observatory anywhere in the world. Before the pandemic, Los Angeles was on this nearly decade-long streak, every year setting a new record. But after the two most difficult years of our lives, we were ready to safely open the doors of our city wide to visitors from around our country and around the world. The key to a lasting recovery is getting this industry back on its feet and getting people back into the doors of our hotels, our businesses, our key attractions. I was at Universal Studios with my daughter just the other day and saw the amazing investment that's going to happen in Nintendo World. That's going to be an amazing new part of that amazing theme park. I've seen new museums open, like the Academy Museum, which I was able to go to just after Christmas to see the magic of the movies that define our town. I've seen LACMA, which is being rebuilt from the ground up, and so much more. So this executive directive that I'm signing here today is all about firing up those engines again. First, it establishes a tourism cabinet made up of the general managers of all of our relevant city departments. So it isn't just our convention center and our tourism department, but all of us that are focused on making sure that this is a great place to visit. And this cabinet will help develop strategies to maintain LA's role as a leading destination for global travel and identify a path of sustainable growth for the industry. And more importantly, make sure that everybody feels the benefits of the tourism boom that we know is going to come. This tourism cabinet will also be responsible for the city's first ever tourism master plan. And I want to thank Doan Liu, who you're going to hear from, but really this was the brainchild of Doan, who started as my first deputy mayor of city services. Before that, had worked in previous administrations, just a brilliant Angeleno who said it's time for us to be less passive as a city and for us to unify all of this together in a master plan. I thank you, Doan, for your wisdom. As I said, the focus and attention on this will be critical for our city's recovery, but it will also help us lay groundwork for the major global events that always are here and that are coming here, whether that's the Academy Awards and the Emmys and Grammys, or, of course, the Olympic and Paralympic Games, the World Cup, and other things that we will be seeing just in the next decade. We'll be ready when those Olympic Games and Paralympic Games come to welcome the world through a brand new airport that we've essentially built from scratch, redoing every single terminal, building new terminals, and bringing in for the first time a people mover that if you drive by these days looks like a giant Roman aqueduct, a car rental consolidated building that's only 2% smaller than the Pentagon. We are building big things in Los Angeles to prepare for big things in the future. And we're investing those almost $15 billion in LAX on top of 15 new rapid transit lines, thanks to Measure M. Los Angeles will be a brand new city, reborn in the decade to come. And that sort of investment isn't happening anywhere else in America. Los Angeles is investing more than any city in America in its future. Of course, this is a city unlike any other on the face of the earth. Just look out here, a city of dreamers and doers. I love this place at dusk when the lights start to come up. And I always say each one of those lights represents a dream somebody's dream about their own story that they get to write here. So with that, let me turn it over to one of those dreamers who I just mentioned, who's the Executive Director of the Department of Convention and Tourism Development, who's going to be chairing our tourism cabinet. Please welcome Doan Liu. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Applause comes in the gallery.
Thank you, Mayor Garcetti, for your leadership and for issuing this important executive directive and entrusting me with the role of being the city's Chief Tourism Officer. I'm honored to serve and collaborate with my fellow general managers on the tourism cabinet to enhance the visitor experience and advance the recommendations that came out of our tourism master plan. This will help us prepare for the inevitable growth in the number of visitors to our city. The city tourism department is only 8 people. We rely on our key partners, the LA Tourism and Convention Board and AEG, who manages our convention center. You'll hear from Adam and Ellen in a second. What I've learned from these valuable partnerships is what I want to share with the other city departments. Our little department can't implement the tourism master plan alone. We needed the help of our sister departments, from everyone from LAPD to El Pueblo. Major events require interdepartmental planning, as we just experienced with the Super Bowl last month, and as we plan for the Summit of the Americas coming in June. A coordinated tourism cabinet will make it easier for us to work together to ensure that these events sustainably bring visitors to our city and that we are ready to showcase LA to the world. It's my great pleasure to introduce the General Manager of the LA Convention Center, Ellen Schwartz.
Thanks, Doan. Thank you, Doan. The Los Angeles Convention Center is a globally recognized institution, really, that attracts millions of visitors from the global community to the city of Los Angeles and fills the hotel rooms that are in our surrounding areas. Not only is it a city-owned building, but it's one of the only things in this, one of the city-owned buildings that drives revenue, creates jobs, and not only in the venue itself, but in the surrounding area. And I'm especially excited to work with the tourism cabinet on moving forward with their goals and visions, which include the expansion, the much needed expansion of the Los Angeles Convention Center. We're looking forward to the future and hosting more mega events, more concurrent events that will fill the hotel rooms that exist and the new ones that are on the blocks to come. So we're excited for the future and all that it will bring. And I'm especially excited to see that currently we will have more hotels right within walking distance of the center, because that's what makes us competitive in the environment that we are in. So thank you very much, and I'm going to introduce Adam Burke, who's the CEO of the Los Angeles Tourism and Convention Board.
Go get him.
Good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here on another gorgeous LA day. First of all, Mayor Garcetti, on behalf of LA Tourism and the 1,000 member organizations that we serve, I want to thank you for your long-standing support. You've really been a true champion and advocate for the economic and community benefits of tourism, and we very much look forward to working with you, Mr. Ambassador, in your new post as we strive to make our City of Angels the premier global destination for travel from India. To Doan Liu and the entire team at the city's tourism department, as well as Ellen Schwartz and the LA Convention Center team, we could not ask for better partners. As Doan said, none of this is done alone. It's all through that collaboration, and that incredible collaboration has never been more important than as we've navigated the unique challenges of the last 2 years. It's impossible to overstate just how critical travel and tourism is to our community. Looking back just at 2019, there were 574,000 Angelenos working in tourism-related careers, and visitors generated a remarkable $38 billion in business sales to our local community. Obviously, as has been said, the last 2 years had a dramatic impact on our sector, but LA continues to prove, as Mayor Garcetti said, its resilience, and the recovery is already underway. In fact, Tourism Economics is projecting that this year alone we will see 92% of 2019's record-setting visitor demand. Now, we know we have a long way to go, though, and a lot of work to do, so we're incredibly grateful for the city's vision in establishing the Tourism Cabinet to address the most critical issues impacting the visitor experience and to ensure the long-term sustainability of this vital sector of our economy. That gives me tremendous confidence that working together, we will collectively continue to write LA's comeback story. Thank you.
Thank you, Adam and Ellen. And I want to say, even when we had the pandemic, we still had millions and millions of visitors, which shows the resilience of Los Angeles. We had, make sure the numbers are right, was it 16 in 2020? And then an estimate of about 28 million in 2021. So while we were at 50 to 51 million the year before the pandemic, it just shows that even in the toughest of times, Los Angeles is still a place that people depend on to be hospitable and for tourists to come. I want to thank the commissioners that are here as well. We're so lucky to have their service. And when I looked at first tapping volunteers who would help promote this when I became mayor, there was no more brilliant person that I could find and think of than my dear friend John Vane, who's been the president of the LA City Tourism Board. And I want to thank him for the amazing service that he has given me over these years in our city. David Stone, another great friend, as I said, they're both handsomely dressed in plaid today, who also has just done an extraordinary job. I want to thank you. And Germanique Ulmer, who's our newest board member and part of such exciting news that's happening in Expo Park with the raising of what will be the biggest single gift of a family in American history in a museum with the Lucas Museum of Narrative Art. And we're just so excited to see that. I got to take a tour through just a couple months ago, and it's so exciting to see as well. So thank you for your amazing service as well and all that you have been doing. Does anybody need, and Heather Rosman I also want to thank as well, who's Executive Director of the Hotel Association of Los Angeles, representing all the hotels that have really invested so much, even in tough times. And my last thing for Ellen is we're going to get that new convention center done. So I want to say that publicly as well. We can't wait to finish up those negotiations. So, anybody need Spanish? Yep, okay, you got it. So, buenos días a todos y gracias por acompañarnos el día de hoy para hablar sobre las industrias del turismo y hospitalidad, las cuales no solo vamos a restaurar, pero creceremos aún más. Estoy firmando una orden ejecutiva, la cual establecerá un gabinete de turismo que ayudará a guiar este trabajo y garantizar que como vayamos incrementando el turismo aquí en Los Ángeles, también estemos mejorando la calidad de vida de todo angelino. Mucha de nuestra comunidad trabaja en esta industria, en los hoteles, en los restaurantes. Es importante mejorar las condiciones para ellos y también atraer más turistas aquí en Los Ángeles. Así es como avanzaremos la recuperación económica de nuestra ciudad y estableceremos el trabajo preliminar para los grandes eventos mundiales que darán sede aquí en nuestra ciudad, incluyendo, por supuesto, la Copa Mundial de 2026 y los Juegos Olímpicos y Paralímpicos en el 2028. Por medio de esta orden ejecutiva y nuestro gabinete de turismo, guiaremos nuestro futuro como una gran ciudad global. Y gracias a todos los miembros de este equipo por su visión, porque Los Ángeles es la mejor ciudad en el mundo y con más personas puedan ver Gracias. So with that, while we gather over here. Oh, sorry, questions ahead of time. Sure, questions first. Please.
Okay, so let's talk about the elephant in the room.
Sure.
Fuel costs.
I can talk about the zoo.
Fuel costs.
Yes.
Jet fuel costs, airplane fuel costs.
Mm-hmm.
Tie that in a little bit.
Sure.
If you would, with the tourism.
So,
But
yeah,
the hardship that
absolutely.
people are undergoing right now.
So I think we have two different things happening right now. On one hand, yes, we've seen the cost of living go up, inflation go up, gas prices go up with everything from Ukraine to just an economy that is roaring back. I was very heartened to hear the governor talk about helping to subsidize or to reduce those gas prices here in California and moves that the president is doing to open up global supply. On the other hand, the good news is people are sitting on more savings than they ever have in the history of this country. And people are ready to spend. People are even quitting their jobs and retiring early to travel. We know that there are a lot of 50-somethings, 60-somethings that for the first time in their lives are saying, I think I can do this, and they're leaving their jobs. The great resignation is not being fueled by 20-somethings. It's being fueled by folks who are retiring early, quite frankly. And they're ready to travel. They're ready to come to great destinations like Los Angeles. And people on those savings are going out to restaurants. They're spending in record numbers. So it's true, there are hardships. And we want to make sure that for the folks who are facing those hardships, that there's good paying jobs, there's an expanding tourism industry, that our hotels, our restaurants are doing great so that they can pay their bills. They can pay everything from their rent to their gas bills. But at the same time, I'm glad to see that we have leaders who are focused on this, and we will continue to as well.
Second question.
Yep.
On a slightly different matter.
Sure.
The pandemic.
Yes.
Apparently, City Council today they're going to talk about lifting all the city-imposed mandates.
Yep.
Can you speak to that?
Yes, I'm very much in support of that. I would have done that with my executive order and the health order that I have under my emergency powers, but because an ordinance was passed on the vaccine verification for businesses, that has to be done by the council. And I anticipate that they will, and they probably are ready to align with the county, which right now has lifted that. Of course, businesses are always open to and can make the decision to require masking or to check vaccinations. But now that's a decision that will be left with each business, and except for high-risk areas like skilled nursing facilities, healthcare facilities, and others where that requirement remains in place, we will try to align with the county to make sure there's no confusion. Okay. All right. Anything else? And let's get this players' discussion with owners wrapped up because it's time to play ball. I'll say that too. We need that for tourism. All right, let's sign this. Thank you. All right. All 3 pages. We did it. The cabinet is complete.